I want to introduce an extraordinary candidate, a Green Party, for governor of New York, exactly the way Jefferson meant when he used the phrase citizen lawmaker. Howie Hawkins is a graduate of Dartmouth, whose colors happen to be green, by the way. And he was an ex-Marine in the Marine Corps. He probably is the most prominent citizen advocate in Syracuse. There's hardly an issue in the neighborhoods and all the urban problems and the deindustrialization of Syracuse that he's not been involved in over the last 25 years. He does his homework, he goes to city council, he engages in lawsuits, he mobilizes the neighborhood, he has a bookstore where used books are donated so get people to read. He's authored 2 books himself on politics. He has written many, many articles. He's a thinker, he's a public intellectual, and he earns his livelihood by being a teamster loading and unloading trucks every night. That's what Jefferson meant when he used the phrase citizen lawmaker. Will he be given a chance to be heard as he campaigns across the state of New York? Or will he be marginalized by the two-party tyranny who basically disrespect you to the level where they try to keep you from having full choices on the ballot? They try to deny your choice of candidates by getting third-party and independent candidates off the ballot, harassing them, suing them, the way they did us in the presidential campaign. And so, the question is, will he be heard? Will he get volunteers? Will his petitions be filled out? Every time he campaigns, he has to take vacation time. Every time he campaigns, he has to do so much himself because people in the state of New York have surrendered to the two-party tyranny, and they look at wonderful candidates like Howie Hawkins as not being able to win. Not being able to win. The important thing is, if you don't support candidates like Howie Hawkins and Mr. Kuzma, all you're going to be doing is supporting winners who turn into losers for your conditions here in New York State. So, we have to shake off this mentality that has imprisoned us in this two-party cocoon, 2 parties dialing for the same dollars and becoming more and more alike. 2 parties that have merged as one corporate party with 2 heads wearing different makeup. 2 parties who work for giant corporations, who engage in criminal activity and loot and drain pension rights and try to cut back on essential services, while they flatter you and put these sloganized ads on TV in order to get your vote. Double talk, forked tongue. I introduce Howie Hawkins, who will be named in the next few weeks as the Green Hornet for Justice. As he goes around the country, as he goes around the country as the Green Party candidate, this great Green Hornet will pollinate one community after another with the facts, with the truth, and with justice. And when it comes to Wall Street, the Hornet has a sting. Howie Hawkins.
We got a big job ahead of us because the basic question in this campaign is whether our state government will represent the average working people of New York or continue to represent the big banks and corporations. And there are a lot of issues I could enumerate to illustrate that point, from the threat of hydrofracking to our water, which is our most precious resource, to the corruption where we have more people leaving the state government for criminal convictions than we do from losing elections. We've got an education system under assault from underfinancing and privatization and mayoral control that disempowers our elected school boards. We got a National Guard that is a foreign occupation force instead of protecting us here in New York from natural disasters and any other need. There are a lot of issues. But I want to talk, in the time I have, about the state budget crisis and why Wall Street is trying to make working people, both the people that work in the state delivering public services and the rest of us that use those public services, pay for the deficit, when the fact is they had the money and they gave it back.
Hedge fund managers last year made an average of $1 billion each, with a B.
But I don't want to just stop with a stock transfer tax. That's just so clear. But we just bailed out Wall Street to the tune of trillions through the federal government, the Treasury, the TARP, but especially Federal Reserve programs to the tune of trillions. $5 trillion cash, $13 trillion in guarantees. The guy that's monitoring it on that committee that Congress set up said the total obligation is almost $24 trillion. Our national GDP is $14.5 trillion. It's an enormous amount. Yet, these insolvent banks turned around and paid themselves $20 billion in bonuses, cash. That doesn't count the stock options and other forms of compensation for 2009. Why don't we slap a 50% banker's bonus tax on that cash? That'd be $10 billion. These guys would still be very rich and very well compensated last year, but we'd have money we need for public services.
Don't believe the hype. False media, we don't need it, do we?
We have to fight for an independent media.